Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I'm one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Archlector George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
We continue our coverage of Last Argument of Kings, the third book in the original trilogy. For this episode, we'll be covering Fortunes of War and the Kingmaker. So, let's get started. Before I do the usual thanking everybody part, I am going to apologize for last week's episode in terms of the editing. I forgot that I was supposed to. It was my turn to edit, and then when I got home, it was like 1 a.m, and I started it, and then I fell asleep in the chair. Then I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, shit. So I just did the audio processing, and that's about it. So yeah, a lot of stuff.
Don't sell yourself short. You put the music in as well.
I did put the music in, right?
Let's just say the goal was not to make it that special of an episode. you know?
Yeah.
It was a special episode, but we didn't mean for it to be that special.
Yeah, and Jeff left in a very long rant where I went off at one of my co-workers, so I hope nobody from my work listens to this.
So yeah, my bad. Sorry.
Oh well, it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, it
no.
was positively received, so it's good.
So far. All right. But again, so sorry about that. And we want to thank you all for your support, even through moments like that. And just if you can remind you all to continue to follow us on social media and our YouTube page. Alrighty. So let's what? All right. No more cutting. All right. All right, let's move on to our first segment, which is Best Meme of the Week. Georgie boy, you want to take this away?
Yes, so we've got User Your Words Won't Save You, which is another one of our contenders for Kingmaker. And it's a spoilery one for Best Served Card, so skip ahead like 2 minutes if you want to afford that. And it's that woman from Schitt's Creek, and it's like when Shivers smashes Foscar's head in, and then one's just like, yikes. Oh.
Yeah,
Which is funny,
one.
I fucking love that one. So thank you very much for that. Your words won't save you.
Mm-hmm. Good job. Good job. Good choice. Good choice. Well, I mean, you didn't choose it, right, George? But, good one. So let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is our first chapter read through, and it is Fortunes of War. We start off with our boy, Colonel West, right? I was like, dude. And he walks into Lord Marshal Burr's tent, and he's just checking in on him. He's like, hey, how's it going? He's like, doing good. I'm feeling much better now. I'm not completely recovered, but on the way. And he does look better, right? His face has gotten some color back. He's not like hunched over, he's not like shaking, all that. And West is feeling a little guilty, and he's like, Lord Marshal, I would like to speak to you about the battles Doombrick. And Burr's like, what's up, man?
West very French all of a sudden.
Or whatever. He's something. And then
I just want to point out, I love that Burr's like, do you want some wine? And he's like, oh yeah, do you want one? He's like, no.
Yeah, and West just confesses that he feels guilty because he didn't get the surgeon right away. He didn't let anyone know about what Burr was going through because he felt like he needed to keep cohesion throughout the army. And Burr's like, I'm glad you did what you did because you need to be just ruthless enough. You need to care about your men, but just ruthless enough to get this kind of stuff done, essentially. So, no worries. And he's like, no harm's done. The Northmen were turned out of England, and I'm alive. So we're all good. And now they start talking about the plan, right? The plan that the Dogman's set up with Crummicky Fail. And it's got to be...
You're going to do a little pincer movement, catch Bethod off guard.
Yeah, something like that. And getting ready. They're like, all right, so everyone knows their plans. Croy and Polder, they have their orders, and they're not going to be fucking about. And let's get ready. We'll move at first light. Great. Okay. Peace out. Bye-bye. Then we cut a little bit of a time break. With West is with Jallenhorn, Britt, and
Caspa.
Caspa, right? The usual gang. They're chilling. and they're playing some cards. And now they start talking about like the news of Luthor, and they're like, "Did you hear about it?" And Wes is like, "What?" He's like, "He's back in Adjua." He's like, "What?" Yeah, he was on some journey, and they're like, "This motherfucker." And yeah, and apparently he defeated this gang of rebels or something. He got promoted and everything. He's like, "Fucking Christ!" Well,
I love his immediate reaction though. He's like, "Have you heard? He's back in Adjua." And he goes, "Oh, he's in Adjua." Like, immediately.
He's going for my sister, and he's
He's
not
like,
wrong.
"No." Yeah,
Yeah, he's not wrong at all.
yeah. Right now, Giselle's balls deep into Artie, so yeah, he her guts are being torn up as we're speaking. So
Well, if you think about it, technically not. I mean, it does take like a week of correspondence to get back and forth. So by this time,
it's
Giselle could
even
already be moving on to bigger things.
nah. I don't. Not just yet. Not yet. I think Giselle is waking up with that sex smell all over him. Do you know what I mean? So. So anyway, and then near the end of that little segment, that part, Wes is like, "Well, I guess I'd always be taking my orders from Lord Marshal Luthor one of these days." But it could have been worse. It could be Polder or Croy. Then a little bit of a time break. It's the next day. It's dawn, and Wes goes up to Lord Marshal Burr's tent, and he's like, "Lord Marshal, we're ready." And he walks in, and he's like, "Lord Marshal," and he sees that the Lord Marshal's still sleeping.
Wakey, wakey.
"Hey, come on, we gotta start this plan." And then he's like, "Wait a minute, his chest is not moving, bro." And then he goes and puts his hand over his mouth area, his nose and mouth, and doesn't feel any breaths being taken. And yeah, he did. He did. Lord Marshal Burr has died.
Oh
No.
Yeah. And then like I guess a little bit more of a time jump later, and then there's a coffin being carried out. Lord Marshal Burr is being carried. He's going to be sent back to Adjua for proper burial and all that. And Polder and Croy are like, so sad that Lord Marshal Burr has died.
I mean, I will say, if anything, even though they're about to just like, who's gonna be in charge now? Wow, they start bickering again. I do think they actually are like sad in a way that he is dead, in the same in the like the military honor sense, because Burr was very good on
Yeah, yeah.
managing the forces.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's still like a bit level of respect,
Yeah,
even though they probably thought it should be one of them.
yeah.
Right. And they were like, "We will make the Northmen pay and everything." And Wes is like, "Yes, right, we must." So to that end, we should get ready to start moving. We're already behind schedule. And
What?
move forward without orders, without clear chain of command. And then even Croy's like,
Impossible.
"Impossible." Out of the question. And then these two fuckers are actually agreeing. And then and then Wes is like, "Wait, what?" But his orders were very specific. He's like, "Listen, things have changed." Croy says, "Until they receive explicit instructions from the closed council, no one's moving in my division." And Polder is like, "I must agree with General Croy. We cannot move until they select a new king, and the king has appointed a new Lord Marshal." And
Me.
then
That's how they act. They're like, they look at each other. They're just the
and,
way they act towards one another. They're like, we can't do it until they appoint
yeah.
someone. Like,
And then they make eye contact. They're like,
And Wes is like, he's feeling that sense of desperation, like the walls are closing in. He's like, but our northern allies, and he's like, regrettable, unfortunate, but out of our hands. And what the fuck? And he's like, oh no. And yeah, I guess the ending line is, "A man should only make such promises as he is sure he can keep." And yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun for Dogman and the gang, right? They're gonna
yeah,
be
it looks like that nice plan of trapping Bethel is going to backfire just a little bit.
just a little bit, maybe. So that's the end of that chapter. How would you guys rate that?
I'm going to give it a 4, I reckon. Because he got the revelation. Birds died. And it's very sad. Which we're going to get onto in a minute with the character spot. But apart from that, it's very short and it just exists for this one kind of plot beat. So I reckon a 4, just because I love Polder and Croy bitching at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey?
I'm also gonna give it like a 4 as well. It's pretty short. like George said, the big shift in terms of like Bird dying. So now there's like a vacuum in terms of like the chain of command, power vacuum. But yeah, I mean, he died, and they didn't move. So that's it. Give it like a 4 out of 9.
I think I'm gonna give this a 6 out of 9.
Okay.
Because I think this chapter is one of, like, in terms of introspective on West's character, one of the best ones, because he has this talk with Burr in the beginning. Burr says, "No, you did the right thing," and he even says it in this chapter. And he's died. It's like Burr was like a father figure to him, or should I say, a better father figure to him. And Burr was a good man. Like he did what was right, but he wasn't he wasn't weak at all. He was obviously good at commanding the military for the most part. He was able to counter Bethod multiple times, and so it is sad that he died. But more importantly, to West, he kind of gets this reassurance from Burr, like, yeah, everything's gonna work out. Hey, we got this plan. We know what we're doing. Everything's come back into place. And West is feeling confident again. He's feeling confident in himself. He's feeling confident in his position. And then he starts getting these anxiety attacks again because Burr dies. So not only does he doesn't have that person anymore, and he's depressed in that way, but he's also freaking out because he feels like, oh my god, it's all my fault somehow. And to me, this is the first time that I actually really felt West like panic. Not that I didn't feel it before. He did a great job of conveying it, but this is you realize West is such a reactionary, emotional being where he's just like, oh god, it's over, man. You can see how he reacts to the trauma that he's felt his whole life, and he's getting it again. He's like he's relapsing into it where he doesn't know what to do and he's panicking. And I just think that this, for me at least, whenever I got to this point, this is when I kind of got a really good grasp on West's character, and this is like a really good springboard for his arc for the rest of the book. So, but it's a short chapter. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Damn, Harrison.
Nice. I will ask. So you only just realized that he's a reactionary, emotional character? Not.
This
not
is when
like
this is like when it sets in, because he doesn't. Wes likes to think he's not a reactionary character. He doesn't think of himself as that.
Okay. You
But,
think
like,
he
this
thinks he has a better hold on him. Okay. All right. I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
Alright.
he definitely is. I don't want to say he's not the most introspective. He's more like, oh god, I'm freaking out. Oh god, oh shit. But I guess what I mean is, like, I like how this sets up that he's finally kind of like he's figured out who he is, and he's over Cathill's death, and he's starting to forgive himself for hurting Artie, and he hopes that she's forgiving him, and and then Giselle's back. Oh, he's probably fucking Artie, damn it. And then my father figure's dead. Oh fuck, and now the planet's falling apart, and oh fuck, it must be all my fault. I guess it's the first time like I'm really sold, like I'm really feeling for West's position, like really.
That's a very good point, Harrison.
Good job.
I'm still not going to change my score though.
Yeah. Don't.
Well, I wasn't trying to convince you. Goddamn.
Well, we don't-
Okay.
you never know. I mean, I don't think Harrison's trying to convince you, but George, you have switched scores before.
Or if
Traitor.
you,
I know,
Jeff.
I
Actually,
know.
no, Jeff. You're
I
the
know.
only one.
I know. Alrighty. Well, good job. All right. So let's move on to our next segment, which is character spot, and fittingly enough, George or Harrison, whoever.
Lord Marshall Burr.
We
I
hardly
don't know why I
knew
said
ye.
it like that.
Yeah,
You
that's-
hardly knew ye
Knew
indeed.
ye. What can we say about the guy? The guy was he was a mange, through and through, right? He was a good guy.
The man was the only thing holding the army together.
Really was.
He's the only competent military figure that we've seen. Literally the only one, apart from Glock, though, maybe.
I don't know about that. I think he's the only one that
From the
didn't
Union?
have the only one that didn't have like an agenda. Does that make sense? Like his goal was
That
to
and
own-
that, yeah.
Because,
Everyone else is either corrupt or incompetent.
Well, I mean, Croy and Polder, they're not incompetent. They're good at.
I'd
what
say
they
yeah,
do.
but they're
They're
they let things get the better of themselves. They let their kind of competitiveness like bring them down.
Yeah, they're driven from a sense
Which
of,
I
like,
could say is incompetent.
I mean, all right, I guess so. I think it's more like solipsistic or something, but okay, all right,
Okay.
okay, okay.
I'm getting corrected here. Okay.
Hey man, do you?
Point
Do you?
is, the man was an absolute fucking G. He knew how to
Yep,
do it. He knew
yep,
how to run the army. He
yep,
knew the politics of it.
yep.
Too soon. God damn that indigestion, eh?
Yeah,
Damn indigestion.
just wonder what kind of disease, like what, like real world,
Most
real.
likely like a stomach cancer.
Jesus, throwing up black bile and shit.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yikes, Harrison. Do you want to say anything about Mr. Burr?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's pretty competent, and like what you guys all said, he was he was like just the Lord Marshal, and that's good.
Yeah.
I would say he's definitely of the Union generals that we see here and further on. He's definitely up there in competency. He's
Mhm,
up there. I mean, I think he's probably top 3
mhm.
Union generals. Um, but yeah, because
Top
I mean, he was
three.
managing a massive force, and he was dealing with political stuff, and he was juggling obviously his own sickness and trying to like mentor West and try like I mean,
Mhm.
he's a pretty impressive fella.
Yeah. No, I agree. He's definitely, yeah. We can count him as a huge, like, he, like, the whole
Loss.
like father figure aspect for West, right? And you said you think top three Union generals?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
I'd say
I'm
so
trying to
as
think.
well.
I'm
We can
trying to
kind of go over that in the
another
future, but
time. Yeah.
but in terms of Union generals, I think definitely top 3.
Oh, okay. Okay. Alrighty. Well, rest in peace, Lord Marshall Burr. West is gonna miss you. That's for sure. All right. So let's move on to our second and final chapter read through, the Kingmaker. Now, uh, this one is a bit of a doozy. We start off with from Giselle's perspective. They're all everybody's piling into the Lord's round, I believe, right?
It was
Yep.
a hot day, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hot day outside. They're all in the Lord's round, and everybody's piling in. The nobles, the noblemen that are up for possibly being elected to be the king of the Union.
I mean, they all could be, right?
They
Any
all
one
could be.
of them could be elected. And in fact, an outsider can be with the
Yeah,
right connections.
right. And so
Bubble.
Giselle is standing guard. He's one of the Union soldiers that stand guard around the chamber. Baez is there. Glocta's there. Archlector Sol, High Justice Morovia, Lord Chamberlain Hoff. Who's who. And Glocta is seated next to the Archlector by the closed council table. Uh, Again, we're seeing everybody. And we have some commoners, I guess. They're up in the upper deck area, if
Yeah.
I'm not
Normally
mistaken.
it's like
In the
what you
gallery.
say. And normally it's like a fairly restricted area, the gallery, but now it's been opened up to the public and there's a ton of people in there. And
Hmm.
I also
Yep.
like there's a little note on time here. There's not very many times that Joe actually mentions time frames. They're
Hmm.
very few, which is nice. But Giselle was like, "Oh my god, it was only just a little more than a year ago that I was standing in the exact same spot."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been a year since the
Hmm.
last time that since
Since
England.
yeah, basically yeah, the beginning of the blade itself. So that's cool. Um, Yeah, and then we switch over to Glockus' perspective. He's looking at everybody as well. He sees, basically who Giselle sees. Giselle's, just glaring at each other with, Glockta and Giselle just like this motherfucker. And he sees the people that he's, had to either barter, bargain, or threaten. Lord Ingolstadt, Wetterland. Who else? Uh,
Those two, but he
there's
also
the
just
two
like takes note of like looking at Scald with his little Stericland
contingent.
delegation
Mhm.
and the people who might support him. He's looking at Isher, who is got a pretty big support. Brock has an insane amount of support if you think about it compared to what
Yeah.
what we see here in a minute. He's got an insane amount of support.
Hmm.
Horrigan and Bearzin, they are like vying for a spot as well.
Hmm. Yep.
Can I just
And
point out as well? I love the juxtaposition between just before this, when we've got Glockta now, like being very political, looking around, trying to figure out exactly what's going on, And Giselle's like, oh god, I'm in a spot with Hardy, aren't I?
Yeah, he's also
Yeah.
like, man, it's hot.
Yeah.
Like totally mundane stuff. Like it's crazy. They're gonna elect the king or whatever. I guess. This man
He's
is
like,
hot.
yeah, it's good. Hope this doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
Sure, I hope there's no long-lasting ramifications from this meeting.
He's like, man.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
man, I really don't want to be putting my dick in snow. I'd rather be putting it in Artie.
What?
You don't get that reference, remember?
Oh.
If you gotta
Oh,
put your
yeah.
dick in something blocked out, put it in some snow.
Jesus Christ. So then Lord Chamberlain Hoff, he gets up and he's like, I call this meeting of the Open Council to order. Basically, giving them the rundown. We're here because obviously our King Guslav the Fifth.
Guslav.
Go ahead.
I was just being dramatic. Guslav.
The Fifth. Go ahead.
Go on, Jeff.
No, I want you to be dramatic. Go for it.
You spooked him.
All right, I guess Harrison's just not gonna.
Scared.
George, cut this out. Jesus Christ! All right, so Hoff is talking about Guslav the Fifth. Obviously, has died, and his heirs have died. One at the hands of the enemies of the North, wink, wink, and the other one, enemies in the South, wink, wink. And now is the time where we must select a new king of the Union from one of you, the noblemen. So let's get ready to rumble. Basically, he starts going through like, wise was the choice of our, ancestors, blah 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 blah, and then we cut to Pharaoh, who is just pushing her way to the front of the upper gallery to get a good view uh, of the proceedings, and she looks at Baez and she's like, He's sitting there smiling like he knows something that no one else does, and then he sees she sees Giselle and she's like, what a prick, and then
I like
so
this.
go ahead.
I like that there's we get Glocta and Pharaoh and Giselle, all of their POVs cycling kind of back and forth here, and it's like he's done it a couple times previously, but like he really utilizes it in this book, and it only evolves into the little people chapters, and I just love how he utilizes that here.
Yeah, and I think we see more of this as Joe keeps writing, right?
Yeah.
More of these like alternating point of views in the chapter. Which
He definitely gets a lot better at writing more fluidly.
Oh yeah. And then so now it's time for like, okay, a clerk says, first up, it's Lord Brock, and then the announcer's like, all right, first candidate will be Lord Brock. Would you please raise your hand? And then he gets interrupted by Baez. He goes, one moment, my lords, and now it's Glock's perspective. He's like, what the fuck? And then everyone's pissed. It's like, there's no time for interruptions. And then Baez just waits because he's smiling. He's like, but what if the old dynasty could continue? What if we can make a new beginning while keeping all that is good in our present government? What if there's a way to heal wounds rather than to cause them? And people are like, wow, what the fuck are you talking about? And then Baez is like, well, a royal bastard. And then everyone's pissed, like, what the fuck?
This is a scam! An outrage!
And then, funny enough, the arch-lector is like, wait. There's nothing to be lost by listening. We shall have the truth here, even if it's painful.
And Gloc's is just like, you fucking hypocrite.
Right. So then Baez continues on. He says, your lordships, you guys have heard of Carmi Dan Roth. You remember her.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah.
Scandal.
So then Baez is like, I have always carried a sentimental regard for the Union. I've always kept an eye on it, despite the little thanks I've gotten.
I love he gives everybody a look on the closed council. He's like, you scum. He's so like annoyed by them. He's like, despite my scam.
Right.
Fucking hilarious.
And right before that, he did say that Carmi Dan Roth was a favorite with the king when he was much younger, and so much of a favorite that she was pregnant with his kid. Boom, boom, boom. And then he's like, so when she died in childbirth, I took the king's bastard into my care, put him with a noble family to be well raised, well educated, in case the nation should one day find itself without an heir. And he's like, well, looks like did a good thing after all.
Pat on the back. He
Yeah,
pats
yeah.
himself.
And then you have you have like very few people like liar, bastard, whatever.
This is
But-
a blatant fabrication.
Yeah, that's
Where
Lord
is
Brock.
the proof?
That's Lord Brock, because Lord Brock is like a blatant fabrication. It will take more than rumor. Produce this bastard if you can. First to the Magi, work your magic. And Bias is like, well. No magic is actually needed. The king's son is already with us in this chamber. No other man than Colonel Giselle Dan Luthor.
And I was like, Luthor.
Not yet. It's coming.
No, and then you hear Glocta his last internal monologue that like to himself. He's like, "You must be fucking joking." and then everyone. Now we're back to Pharaoh's perspective, and she's like, "What?" She's looking at Giselle, and Giselle's just like dumbfounded, and then she just can't help herself. She just starts laughing. So fucking, she's just
The only time we ever hear her do that.
And then we go to Giselle's perspective, and then it's just silence, but he just hears like high above in the public gallery, someone had started laughing, a jagged cackling, completely inappropriate to the solemnity of the moment.
The fucking Pharaoh's like not just like, oh, that's funny. She's like, ah! She's like fucking screaming like abs.
My God.
Everybody in the entire lords around can hear her like fucking cackling. Hilarious.
That's ridiculous. And Giselle doesn't know what to do. He kind of like coughs, and he's like, yeah. And then Bias produces a paper, which apparently is the sworn statement of his adoptive father, attesting that all Bias is saying is true. But doesn't matter. The truth of it is plain for any man to see. He won a contest. He accompanied me on a journey full of peril with never a complaint. That's bullshit.
Never a complaint.
Charged the bridge at Darmium without a thought for his own safety. That's a lie. He saved Adjua from the revolt without a drop of blood spilled. His valor. Kind of, right? His valor, his prowess, his wisdom, his selflessness. They're all well known to all. Can it be doubted that the blood of kings flows in his veins?
Is it?
Go
My
ahead.
God, is it hot in here, my lords?
I just love the fact that just a few moments previous, Pharaoh has just described him as a leaky piss pot of selfishness, arrogance, and vanity, and now Bias is like selfless, wise. And it's
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying gallant.
And then Giselle slowly starts going like, interesting facts are coming up. Like, I'm not like my brothers. My father always treated me differently. I got all the looks. And wait a minute. And when my dad saw Bias at the contest, he got weird.
Yeah.
He got weird. He's like, huh.
Yeah, what's cool about this too is if you're reading the Blade itself, if you read it enough, you know that this is the exact same phrasing, and Paisley says it in the exact same way that he did, like whenever Giselle was like looking at him. So I was like, oh, this is weird. I'm not like my brothers. I definitely didn't get any of my father's looks. He goes through the whole thing, which is pretty funny that they
100%.
say all this. Like Guslav was some valiant, wise, noble leader. Clearly, he's his son. And he's like not even close to the same.
No, very true. And he starts thinking about he's like, wait a minute, am I being seriously considered to replace the king? What? And then Brock is like, no, not Brock, I'm sorry. Bias is like, you are amazed. And so I know it might be hard to accept, but especially with all this heat, it's so suffocating. Open the gates, open the doors, let us have some air. And what the fuck? As soon as you open the doors, you just hear like people from outside. And then Bias is like, oh, well, it seems the people of the city have already chosen. And Brock is like,
I absolutely love this. Like this amazing, like masterful manipulation of this, for like the entire situation. And we
Yeah.
had no
Or
idea that
did.
Baez was planning anything like this. We kind of, you get a couple of hints. You might have guessed that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
But this is
Not on this
incredible.
scale. Not on this-
Absolutely incredible. No.
Mm-hmm. And
He-
go ahead.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No. I was just gonna continue. Go ahead.
I was just gonna continue as well, but I actually will backtrack slightly and involved in the same instance here, which is how Brock, he's like doing the same thing he did last time they were here. Brock is honestly not standing up for anything bad. He's seen as like this guy who's like, yeah, he definitely wants the throne, but like he isn't wrong. They should have evidence. They shouldn't just go off of a whim of some guy who showed up after a couple hundred years. Every now and then he shows up and tells the union what to do. He shouldn't go off of that. I mean, he's like, well, we should just vote. We should be voting off of the people who are actually, gonna have votes and everything. I mean, he's not wrong at all.
Yeah, and I just love how he's like everyone around
Villainized.
him's just like stepping away, like, actually.
Mm. And then now you see the different counselors. They're looking at each other, and everyone's like whispering. The atmosphere has changed now. Like he said, it's like if they were confused before, it's flabbergasted now. And then we switch over to Glocta's point of view, and he's just going over this in his head, like this is this is crazy. And then Isher gets up, and he's like, I wholeheartedly believe that Giselle Dan Luthar is the natural child. And Glocta's like, what the fuck? And so then so Isher votes for him. And then the aldermen of Westport vote for Luthar. And then Ingolstadt, the lying bastard, votes for Luthar. And then Wetterland. And then Glocta's like, what the fuck? And then Glocta's like, wait a minute. Okay, okay, now this makes sense. This is why he cheated on his behalf in the contest, because Glocta caught that. And then he's noticed this is why Baez has kept him close all this goddamn time. And he's like, Luthar, love him or hate him, is one of us. He is known, he is familiar, he is acceptable. And he's almost like admiring Baez, like, son of a bitch.
He
And
realizes how much he's been outplayed.
Yeah. And
How much Baez has outplayed everyone.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's come
And then-
behind everybody's, like, he came in late to the game, like literally a few weeks at most after everybody else arrived. And yeah, obviously Yori Sulfur was probably planting some stuff and getting things ready. But Baez went and talked to the nobility. He had nobles in his chambers like every day. As like Thera was talking about, people coming and going. And we get to see those efforts. We get to see all of his work. We get to have the realization that with Glocta that this whole time, Giselle was being prepped. We knew he's being prepped for something, but to be king, what? And then even the little people, all the peasants outside, because Luthar was a hero. Oh, we love him. It's genius and believable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
And then
And it's just so shocking, isn't it? I mean, did you guys see any of this coming the first time you read this?
I talked about. Oh, I guess I haven't been able to talk about it on the podcast, but unfortunately for me, I have a hard time with books when I first start them, keeping up with characters' names. So I looked up his name with the assumption that I was getting Luthar and Giselle mixed up because they use them interchangeably. I was like, is this just his last name or what? So I looked up, and I just on the very front page never look it up, but I was like, Giselle, first law, and the thing that popped up said Giselle Dan Luthar, High King of the Union. This is like 2 chapters into the Blade itself, so yeah, I got pretty ruined early on, but I didn't know how it was going to come
together. I didn't have too much of an inkling until like around this part where like Burr dies, the king dies. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This book, something's gonna have to change here. I was like, and I'm like, something's gonna. And Wes is over there. He's been rising up. Luthar's been rising up. And then why is Baez giving him all these like telling him what to do, especially with the rebellion negotiation? And then like he gets promoted easily. He doesn't do jack shit. And then Baez is talking him up, especially after that homeless lady got her ass beat. Remember? I was like, something's going on here. I wasn't sure about King, but I was like, something's happening. I just was my antenna were up. But yeah, this was on Baez's part. This was well done. on Joe's part, this was well done. And we have, we have Soul. He goes over to Glockta and he's like, "What do you know about this guy, this Luthor?" And he's like, "Is he easy to manipulate and control?" And he's like, "Huh. Well, before his trip, he was empty-headed, spineless, and vain of young fool as one might hope to find in this entire nation. But the
Excellent.
last
Capital.
but the last
Perfect.
yeah, he's like, wait. You must see that you got to see this is up to something.
Shut
He's
up,
like,
Glock. I'm voting.
so then he talks to Morovia, and then I guess they agree on something. Then now Morovia is talking to Hoff, and then Hoff is like, "My lords, this discovery of a natural sun plainly changes things. We have considered to an exceptional vote should now be taken. A single vote on whether the man previously known as Giselle Dan Luthor should be declared High King of the Union." And Brock's like, "No, what the fuck? I strongly I protest." But now arms are being they're shooting up. The vote is going underway. And Glockta's like, uh-oh. And he's like, it's over half the room was in favor. And then our selector's like, yes. And the people that were voting for Brock or Barrison or Hugin, they were just like, what the fuck is happening? And then, Lord Brock made one last effort. He's like, "What proof do you have? God damn it. What proof?" And no
one cares.
Nothing. No one cared.
Yeah.
No one gave a fuck. And more hands were being raised. And then Isher exchanged a long look with Baez and then raised his pale hand. And then Barrison and Hugin, basically, I guess they didn't do anything. They didn't vote either, did they? But Scald did. Scald, he was just like, "You know what? I'm just gonna vote too." And then and then there were no further protests. King Giselle the First was raised to the throne
First of
by
his name.
near unanimous accord.
Game of Thrones music playing. And if I was a composer, the music that you would play at this point would be
swelling.
but what you would have to do. So you would have a. This is a totally random thing, but I fucking love how music comes together and shit like this. And what I would love to hear is whatever theme they have for Baez over the course of the story slowly turns from like maybe fantastical to having the undertones become louder and more more obvious, and until it's kind of like this minor key, almost dark fantasy kind of sound, maybe an organ or something, and overlay that on top of like Giselle's theme or whatever that might be. And I think that can you imagine that like swelling up? Like, yeah, there's like the nice Giselle theme, like, oh my god, he's the king now. But like, there's this malevolent thing that's been rising up, and you've noticed it the whole time, and you're like, oh my god, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I agree. That would be cool. So that's the end of that chapter. What do you guys think of? That's
I don't know, actually, maybe like a 3.
One.
No, I'm joking. Logan's finger grew back, so it's 10 out of 9.
You can't give it a 10 out of 9.
Yes, I can.
You can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you
Oh my
can't.
god,
I can do what I want.
Jeffrey, he's
Arch Selector, you need to get in line, goddammit. You're giving it a 9 out of 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
I got I'm with you. I'm with you.
Enough said.
Enough. Yeah, just insane.
I like I said, when I first read this, my jaw just dropped, and I was just like, "Fuck! Oh my god, this is incredible!" Like just realizing how much planning Baez has put into this, and you can look back at all the interactions over the first half of this book and before they're hanged, and in the blade itself, and you can look back at all of that, and it all just fits together. But it's so not obvious when you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the perfect twist.
yeah, it really is. It's set up perfectly, and kudos to Joe for setting things up like this. And this is like the first plot twist of a couple, and he does plot twists like this through all the books. And this is when we get to see the first one really come out. So people say, "Oh, I really enjoyed Before They're Hanged. I think about finishing, but I don't know. Is the last book still kind of slower?" I mean, no. Read the last book, and then if you want to stop there, cool. But at least finish the ride, man. It's fucking phenomenal.
So what are you
When
guys rating this one then?
I'm with George. I'm giving it a 9 out of 9.
I'm giving it a 9 out of 9 as well. And
Woo!
as a short little note here, I do like for any kind of lore out there, there is this Lord Chamberlain is basically like, oh, it was the same instance that happened after we tore down the mad ruler Molag, or what is his name, Molag the Mad or whatever.
Yeah, more like.
More like the Mad. He was a king before, and then they raised Arnott up as the new High King, and that same dynasty is the same one that Guslav was a part of, and now, of course, continues on. Knowing what we know, it makes you wonder how much fuckery went on when what Baez did, or how maybe Moloch the Mad came up because Baez wanted him there, or maybe who knows what happened. It's like it arises all these possibilities of how much influence Baez has throughout time, like immensely. It's like the first time I read this, I heard that, and then Chazal got risen up, and what we find out later on as well in conjunction with this, it makes you be like, who the fuck knows what history is fully realized, or it creates so many levels and layers onto the story. It's incredible.
I mean, what else can we say about that chapter? It's crazy. Well, let's move on to our next segment, our final segment, which is our community interaction one. Harrison, do you want to start off with the bracket?
Yeah, we'll start off with the bracket. So on First Low subreddit, the fighter bracket has continued on. We did call pretty much all of these fights, and everybody agreed with this. But now this is where things are getting interesting, because there are some definitely interesting matchups for this one. So first up, gentlemen, we have Stour Nightfall versus General Ganmark.
That's
pretty
Ganmark.
hard.
I think Ganmark. He's still regarded as one of the finest swordsmen in the Union, and Stour Nightfall. Remember, like, who said it? I forgot. Somebody said something, but like a lot of his glory was that he killed. He beat Stranger Come Knocking, but Stranger Come Knocking was already like old and shit.
And spoilers. Sorry.
What? We're talking about 30 years into the future. Oh, right. Sorry. The spoilers. Spoiler section, everybody. If you didn't get it the last couple times.
Oops.
You did this. Anyways, yeah. You think Ganmark?
I think Ganmark. You guys?
I reckon Stour. I reckon it's the fighting styles, the way that it matches up. Like the Northmen are almost always going to beat a like a fencer or the way that the Union style fighting, and apart from Gorst. Like we never see a matchup where we see someone with like the light battle steels go up against like a Northman and win, because it's like a piddly little weapon, isn't it?
Well, hang on. We've only actually seen it once, and that was whenever Stour fights Leo. And Leo,
But Leo doesn't use those steels, does he?
No, he uses one. You know why? Because he fights in the Northman fashion.
Exactly.
And he sucks.
So if they're going to be using their like trademark weapons, I reckon Stour.
I think I'm going to side with Jeff here on this one, because I think Ganmark, because
it's skill.
We see it's one of the only times we actually see somebody in the Union style like kick ass is Ganmark, and we think, oh, just like with Stour, it's kind of cool matchup, because both of these people, they're kind of built up to be like, oh, they're kind of overblown, and they think they're hot shit, and it turns out they actually are hot shit, and they actually are pretty good. But I think Ganmark style, Stour is fast, but judging by Ganmark's pure skill, fighting multiple opponents, not even having an issue, and
that dude didn't break a sweat.
And he obviously trains frequently, and judging by how effective Gorst is with two steels, I think Union forces have better training, but not very many of them are actually dedicated to like, I want to train and be the best fighter ever. The ones who are, like Glokta, Ganmark, and Gorst, are absolute beasts.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think Ganmark.
Interesting.
I think it's close though, but
Okay. All right, so let's go down to the next one, right?
Galacta and 3 trees.
Oh,
That one's really hard, actually.
that's hard.
I think it's the same sort of argument, isn't it?
I think you're right.
because again, Sandan Galacta in his prime, regarded as the greatest swordsman the Union's ever seen.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm gonna give it to Galacta.
okay.
I think I'd agree.
I'm going Galacta as well.
Again, 3 trees would be fucking a tough opponent, but I think Galacta in his prime would eventually nick 3 trees enough to get him down, even if it was slow.
Okay.
From Mickey Phil or Brimadan Gorst?
Brimadan Gorst, although it'd be a battle of like the Titans, though. These giant dudes.
That's the fight that Ghost wants.
Yeah, Gorst would. Some
Ghost
madman who
would
loves
love
fighting.
that fight.
Yeah.
Actually, they'd both love that fight.
Yeah. You're beloved by the moon.
Hey,
Gorst is like, what the fuck you talking about? Mickey Phil would be erratic enough and big enough that Gorst would actually have probably a fight in his hands, but then Gorst would win and be like, beloved by the moon, huh? I guess you weren't.
Like, I'm just imagining this like a fighting game where they all have their own like intro quotes.
I love war. Like he fucking walks in.
Oh, God.
I'm beloved by the moon. I love war. Fucking Ganmark comes in. I prefer to fight with 3 swords.
You know what I mean. Oh no.
Friendly or Harding Grim?
I'm going Harding Grim.
Friendly.
Friendly.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Friendly's a monster.
I think
Friendly's a goofball.
I think he's definitely not.
He is a goofball, but he's also a monster.
I think friendly as well. Like Harding Grim gets a lot because of one particular line, which is the fact that he stabbed Logan like through with a spear. But stabbing somebody through with a spear is not relative to somebody's like.
It's been said more than once in the trilogy that there was no man better with a blade or a bow than Harding Grim. Like as precise and skilled. They say it.
Okay.
And then you're picking a short.
But Friendly's fucking precise as shit.
You're choosing a short.
He's gonna chop Harding Grim into equal amount of cubes.
Man with a cleaver against Harding Grim.
He hasn't been said. He's been stated as the best man with a spear or a bow. That in Logan's perspective, you're not accounting for everybody else's perspective.
Everybody, anyone that's a Northman and they talk about Harding Grim, they're like, yeah, there's no man better in terms of like where you like throwing this, just like.
I always got the kind of idea that Harding Grim is so good because he's like quiet, he like sneaks around, and he gets people by surprise, and that's why he's like so successful.
Yeah,
that's how I got it. I mean, he's just very good.
I mean, he is, but like, what other feats other than it's kind of here. Look, think about it like this. Whenever we get to Shivers in a minute, we'll have to. It'll cover him as well. Shivers is renowned to be one of the most feared men in the North and one of the best fighters in the North. No doubt, he's incredible. Okay, but some people for some reason think that Star Nightfall, not Star, that Call Shivers can beat anybody because Logan was a little bit worried about fighting him. Logan wasn't worried about fighting him. He just was like, all right, let's get this over with.
He was worried about Shivers stabbing him while he was sleeping.
Right, exactly. And so I think the reputation, as it's many times pointed out inside the First Law, where they obviously got the reputation from something, but being the most feared man or being precise doesn't make you the best one-on-one fighter. In the end, Logan still kicked his ass, even though he had a spear through him. He still beat him. To me, that's more of a, oh my god, fucking Harding Grim was precise and got lucky, and despite that, he still lost.
I mean, yeah, Bloody 9. There's a reason the Bloody 9 isn't even in this tournament. Anyone going against that isn't. You can't look at that as a negative. All right, and when you say Shivers was the most feared man,
What,
one
what,
of the
what,
most
what about Forley the weakest? Forley fought against Logan. Does that mean just because he got in the circle, does that mean that in got to live? Does that
we
mean
know
he's a
the
good fighter?
we know the circumstances. They sent Forley out there, and then Logan was like, "Ah, you little bitch, come on, join my team." The fuck. And Shivers only became before Best Served Cold. He was known as a respectable fighter. People liked him. All right. He didn't become the most feared man in the North until during the Heroes after A Burst of Cold when he lost his eye. And he's he's talking like, "Hey, buddy," like what? No. So okay, and Friendly and him went toe to toe, and they went toe to toe. But even then, Shivers was beating him down. Now you want to
No,
talk
he wasn't. Friendly
at
actually,
the
we went over
end.
this last time.
Remember?
Remember?
But at the end, remember at the end, near the
Because
end,
because Friendly was walking backwards upstairs, and that whole time Friendly had two
downstairs.
butcher clippers. No, he was walking upstairs
I thought,
backwards, full of bodies. He fell over a body because he was walking backwards upstairs.
Mm.
He even
I,
talks about like, "Oh,
I
this
thought,
isn't good. I'm walking over bodies backwards, going
yeah,
upstairs."
yeah, yeah. But
And he
I'm
hit
not.
Shivers multiple times. Shivers never
Yeah.
touched Friendly the entire time they fought. Didn't hit him once until the very end.
What do you mean hit him? Like cut him?
Like he
Yeah,
didn't cut
friendly
him at all
never takes an injury in the entirety of Best Served Cold
until the end.
until
Whenever he falls down.
right at the end.
Wait. I thought Shivers at least hit him with the shield and like cracked
Well,
his face.
He hit him with the shield.
Yeah, at the end, like right when he loses the fight against Shivers, but that's it.
Okay. Right.
But that
again,
being said, to
Mhm.
resolve this, Jeff, obviously Jeff stands firm on this, so people will probably say Harding Grim, judging by how much people love Harding Grim. But I think that George and I stand firm on Friendly.
okay, enjoy. I
We'll
mean,
just have to see next week, won't we?
I don't. I
Yeah.
do not see a man with a cleaver. All right.
Oh, do you want to bet?
I
Hang on.
No,
Make a
I
little
don't.
side bet.
We can make a little side bet. I don't care. Yeah, I'll slap Harrison. How about that? I don't know. Or Harrison can slap me. I don't know.
Harding's
Whatever.
gonna fight with all the weapons they use in the books. Harding Grim starts with a bow.
And he has a sword. I'm pretty sure he doesn't just have a bow.
Maybe.
Look at me. You know what?
Man, it'd be so
You don't
easy
know.
to win in the fucking circle, wouldn't it? I choose 10 flat bows already loaded.
Give me 42 crossbows over a
Yeah. Like a fucking medieval machine gun over it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's still either way. It's fucking close. I like that fight thing.
Mm-hmm.
Stranger Come Knocking or Nikomo Casca. That's a weird one.
Stranger come knocking straight. He just crushes him.
Yeah, stranger come fucking wins that. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Although I can imagine Koska talks around him for like a minute, like distracts him with his fucking.
It probably Stranger Come Knocking doesn't take him super seriously, and then Koska like does a little trick and like actually cuts him, maybe like chops off something, and then Stranger Come Knocking is like, okay, that's enough. Then he kills him. Glamour Golden or Black Dow?
Black Dow.
Black Dow.
Yeah. Black Dow.
I mean, Glamour Golden
Where
literally had to
or
run
Tall?
away from Black Down like a little bitch.
Yeah, like a little bitch. Wedenor or Tall Daru?
What? Real quick to go back to what you said. What do you mean he had to run away from him like a little bitch?
Well, the only reason why he's increased is because Black Dow's like
No,
because
of
no, Calder. Sorry,
No.
He ran
Yeah,
away from
right.
Calder.
And because he laid the blame,
My whole
the whole poisoning thing on.
Before it just fell apart there. Shit.
Yep. Yeah,
Well, it actually doesn't, because if you think about it, he still served Black Dow probably because he wasn't able to beat him.
right. No, and then I remember like that one time in the Heroes when Black Dow was pissed. George, are you delayed?
No.
Yeah. No, you are.
Damn it.
I noticed it because you were breaking up a little bit, and then.
Okay, roll
I've got nothing open, so just keep going.
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Oh,
Okay.
we're good. We're back.
All right.
right.
Just go ahead.
Just cut that bit.
Wedenor or Tall Daru?
God damn it. He's delayed.
Well, Wedenor or Tall Daru Thunderhead?
You know, Like
Okay.
on a straight up skill level, I think Weirder. Like I mean, I know Tolderu is a giant man, and he's really good. Obviously, one of the most hardest names in the North and everything. But I don't know.
I
I think Weirder.
I think judging just by pure size and strength and like Werdenor definitely is gonna put up a big fight, and he's definitely gonna be a challenge. And maybe there's a possibility like some of these fights can go back and forth, like somebody else could win, but I think more times the Thunderhead's gonna win.
You
Just
think so?
because,
Okay.
yeah, because he's
I mean, I don't know. This is tough for me. I don't know. Something's telling me Weirder.
this is tough for me. I'm stressing out.
I'm so stressed out. George.
I want to vote for Tolderu.
Okay. All right. I'm not holding firm on Weirder. I'm just.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I got you. No, Werdenor is definitely he's very capable, like very capable.
Yeah.
I mean, doesn't the guy literally just do nothing but prepare? He's like a doomsday prepper, isn't he? So he like does nothing except train.
Right. Exactly. And he went toe to toe with a certain 9-fingered person,
Yeah.
and was doing well. But then when you go, you again bloody 9, you can't really hold that against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know. All right, let's.
Looking forward to
I
seeing
like.
that
I
one.
love. Yeah, I love the Thunderhead. So whatever.
Finally, and this one is going to be, I'm sure, extremely I'm very actually looking forward to this one on like the Reddit to see what everyone's going to vote for, because I guarantee it's going to be a bloodbath. Because these are two fan favorite characters, and they are. I don't want to say one is overhyped in character, the other is overhyped in fighting ability. So for the sake of this contest, between Call Shivers and Wearing a Bly, 1v1 weapon of their choice. Yeah.
Yeah, Wearing a Bly.
Yeah. He's like, and for anybody wondering, like, oh, Shivers is like Shivers is a great fighter, but Wearing a Bly could fight with Gorse 1v1. Black Dow he's the only character that we've seen that Black Dow besides Logan that he backed down saying, nah, let's not fight, let's not do that. I don't want to do that. And Wearing a Bly is like famed, even up there with like Logan and stuff. So yeah, Wearing a Bly. So
Okay.
for next week, that will line us up with Tolderu versus Wearing a Bly, Black Dow versus Stranger. Black Dow versus Stranger Come Knocking, Brimmerdan Gorse versus somebody, Ganmark versus Sandanglocta.
Yeah.
So it's turning out to be quite interesting. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to next week too, honestly. So thank you for that. And there was one other thing we wanted to talk about real quick.
Yeah, we got a very, very nice email. Hello, look at that. It was from a gentleman, excuse me, by the name of, I'm a little confused because he signed off as Vincent, no, as Gus, but then the name says Vincent. So I'm confused. Vincent/Gus sent us a very nice email and brought a tear to my eyes.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
me
really
too.
did get us all. It really did make all of us like extremely happy to get such a nice response like that.
Ooh.
Yeah, we would really, started listening to the First Law in 2021, finished the first trilogy, and then he finds us, and then look at that, he's been a weekly listener ever since. Oh, God damn it! And he keeps thanking us. He says we rock, and he's, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah,
It's
he
all
made
good,
our little
Jeff.
hearts weep.
So good.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
And he's
that
a
was
cowboy.
a wonderful email. I was at work. I was just like, oh my God, it's the best possible thing
Oh
ever.
yeah. Oh yeah. Technologically deficient cowboy out in Wyoming.
Awesome.
Love that.
Awesome.
I love that.
No, thank you for
I love
reaching
that.
out.
Yeah,
It
thank
really
you.
does mean
Appreciate
a
it.
lot.
Thanks, Gus.
Maybe we'll send you some I don't know, autographed picture of Harrison in a bathtub. I don't know.
Oh, come on. I'm going to ship him bath water. I'm not going to. Yeah. I'm not a whore.
Oh, shit. Well, thank you again, Vincent/Gus. We really do appreciate it. That was nice. And anybody else, if you guys want to send us an email, fucking go for it. Jesus.
And it doesn't have to be like compliments. we'll probably mention you without compliment, even if you just have a question or something.
Yeah, if you have a
Yeah.
question, we'll answer it. If you have something, you want to if you want to even insult us,
Yeah,
you
tell
go
us
on
what
right
pieces of
ahead.
shit we
You
are.
go on right the fuck ahead.
We need to be humbled.
Speak for yourself, but
We're
yeah,
out of
whatever.
control.
We're off our rocker.
All right. All right. I guess that's it, right? All right. What are we naming this chapter?
One moment, my lords. I don't know why my voice cracked there. No.
My lord.
One moment, my lord.
I demand proof.
A blatant fabrication.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
That was a blatant fabrication.
That's a good one.
A blatant fabrication.
Do you guys want to do that one?
Yeah, I
let's
like
do
that
one, George.
All right, good. There we go.
Okay.
Boom, bam, done. All
I
right.
got out nobleman by George. You have to do it, George.
You got out nobleman. That's hilarious. All right, Harrison, you ready?
Let me grab the chapters real quick here.
Told.
All right, I got it.
You got it.
Yep, I got it.
Ready
Okay.
to go.
All right. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next time as we cover The Trap and Horrible Old Men.
And remember to follow us on social media and have a look at Albert at circleoftheworld.com and send any of your emails or questions or anything to circleoftheworldpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
A blatant fabrication.